Yeah, madam.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah, the network
think-
in the department was so bad today.
What happened?
Network in the department was so bad. That's what I.
Madam.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, backside, no, I think window, no, that curtain, if you put a lot of sunshine is coming and it is reflecting on your face.
Okay. Is it okay now?
Yeah, okay, okay. So, within 1 or 2 minutes, madam, we will start.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. No problem. Yeah. After this, we have to go to that meeting also, no? 2:30.
Yeah, but vigilance in teacher, nothing we have to vigilance, no. We have only chalk and duster in our hand.
You can see the presentation, right, sir?
Yeah, madam, it is visible, madam.
Okay, okay. Bhartendu sir has a very nice background.
Yes.
I think not like.
Sir, I think we can start now. 23 is already joining because madam have to complete and come to that meeting also. So, dear participant, good afternoon to all. Today afternoon session, we are starting with Dr. V. Ratnmala. Madam is presently means today is associate professor in Department of the Mass Communication, and today very active media person, no, very active researcher and media person. And today she is going to talk about the media and democracy. As we know, in the democracy, media have a very significant and important role. So today, madam is going to talk on that topic. Madam, on behalf of the HRDC Mizoram University, I welcome you in this FIP program. This FIP program is, as you know, earlier it is orientation program, and all the discipline participants are there. But your topic is very relevant because democracy and media, all we are reading the newspaper, and you are going to talk about the present scenario of the media and how they play their role in the democracy. So welcome you, and now I am handing over the session to you for your presentation.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much for the generous introduction. So,
Madam, if possible, no, make a five presentation mode, your PPT.
oh, it's not in the presentation mode, sir.
No, it is not in presentation mode now.
Oh, but like for me, though, it's showing it's full screen only. Oh, maybe there is a problem, I guess.
Okay, no problem.
Okay. Okay, thank you so much, sir. Thank you for this opportunity. So today let's discuss something regarding the role of media in the democracy. So as you know that media, we are all depending on media for information and communication, and then we are also using social media. So the whole lecture is made in a way that let us start from general ideas about media and democracy, and let's on move to the present scenario of the media scenario and the press freedom in Indian context and how it's impacting the democracy, and then we will move on to specific case studies. So likewise only I have design, so it's very general and specific, so I'm not going to tell you anything new, but I think it might be interesting to you. So media and democracy, as you know, democracy, United Nations advocating the democratic governance. So why we need a democratic governance and why we need democracy? Because if and only we have democracy, then we all the people can participate, and there must be equality can be ensured, and we also get this security, and then there is also human development. So that's what we need democracy. So the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is also saying that the will of the people shall be the cornerstone of the authority of government. So let the government of the people, by the people, and for the people. So the United Nations has detailed the elements of democracy. So what are all you need for a democracy or democratic governance? So the first thing is that there should be separation and balance of power, that is legislative, executive, and judiciary. So there should be a balance, and they should also be separated. It should not overlap and all, and that should be independence of the judiciary. So in Indian context, the High Court and the Supreme Court and the other lower courts also have to work independently, and then there should be a pluralist system of political parties and organizations. As you know that in India we also have multi-party system, right? And then the rule of law, so everyone is equal before the rule of law, and then we are all following the Indian Constitution. So under Indian Constitution there is this rule of law is there, and then there should be accountability and transparency, right? And then freedom of the media and respect for the political rights. So when we talk about the elements of democracy, freedom of the media is also a significant element of democracy. So without that, you cannot have a proper functioning democracy. And Thomas Jefferson, when he asked, a government without newspaper or newspaper without a government, I should not hesitate a moment to prefer the latter. So he even choosing that even there can be government, I can have go with newspaper even without a government. So that's what he's this one. So what he says that media has an important role, and they are the one giving information, and then they are also holding accountability of the government office and all. And then when we talk about this media and democracy, as you know that the media freedom should be there, then only we can say that democracy is there. So the media freedom, it should be have a kind of plural open societies and accountable transparent government system, as well as the protection of human rights and fundamental freedom. So when we talk about free media sector, it is critical for ensuring freedom of speech and expression. So as you know that in India, we don't have a separate law for, freedom of press. So whatever the article 19(1)(a), which says that freedom of speech and expression, that is whoever, like all the Indian citizens, we are having that fundamental right, and that fundamental right is only even like relevant to media freedom. So we all have the same rights. And then even the Universal Declaration of Human Rights is also saying that everyone has the right to freedom of opinion and expression, and also like freedom to hold opinion without interference. So there should not be any, external interference. And also, we also have the freedom to seek, receive, and impart information, ideas through any media, regardless of frontiers. So it's not only that receiving information, but it's also that the media should also have the freedom to function freely. So that two things are there. So freedom of expression is the epitome of democracy. So when we talk about the role of media in democracy, there are like two important role of media in democracy. The first one is that the citizens make their responsible, informed choices based on the media, whatever the news and information which they are getting from media. It is helping them to make a responsible, informed choices. So even when they want to like make choice regarding their voting choices, right? And even to support or to go against a government policy also. So for that, like they should be know like what's happening. So for that, the media should give that kind of information. So the first one is access to information. So we need the citizens should know, like what's happening in the country, right? And what's happening in their state, what is happening in their society. Then only they will, if and only they know what's happening, then they can make their choices, right? The first one. And the second one is the information also like serves as checking function by ensuring that elected representatives uphold their oaths of office. So for example, it's not, they also should know like whether it's the government is responsible or not, whether they are corrupt or not, whether they are handling certain issues like right or wrong. So all those things they have to like get it from the media only. So that is their main source. So again for that, okay, so when we talk about like press freedom, as it's like fundamental component of democratic countries, right? So if and only if you have media, like wide range of media, you should have like many media outlets, and then many media outlets also have like different issues and different viewpoints and different voices. And then because if there is no media pluralism, so when we talk about like media pluralism, it's not only the media content, it should also be the ownership of media. For example, in India, we have this public sector, the government owned media is there, like All India Radio, Doordarshan is there. And again, we have like private media is there, right? So private media, like all the newspapers and news channels and this one. And again, we also have community media. So for some communities, they can have their own community radio, community newspaper, right? So this kind of, plural media content we need. Then only people will know like what's happening in that particular democracy, right? So even for India also, like we need a strong, like media. Otherwise, like that's what they say that in India, particularly, even during the Sorry, my network got disconnected. Sorry. So as I said that like public sphere. So for example, if there is a tea shop is there, people are like going and having tea, and if there is a newspaper, they will like read a newspaper and they will like start discussing about what is there in the newspaper. So here the media like helps in the formation of the public sphere where the citizens can discuss and debate about like whatever that is happening in their society. And then why we need media for this democratic system. So the first one, they should know like what is the fault, the working system of the governing system in the country. So how the governments are like functioning, right? And how the government offices are functioning. And then they should also like, the promotion of ideals of democracy. So as we said that when we talk about like democracy, then we have all this constitutional fundamental rights and freedom are there. So whether they are in place or not. So for that, media has to ensure that one. And again, media also act as a middle person between the government and the general public. They are connecting both. So they are also connecting what the governments are working and what are their policies and all. And then they are informing to the citizens. And again, they are also in a way get back the general public mood and view and their feedback regarding that particular government policies and all. So, and then again, it also like bringing transparency to the democratic system. So that's what we say that media is one of the pillars of democracy. So it is one of the pillar, and we also call it the fourth pillar, right? And we have this legislature, executive, judiciary, and free media. So it is actually like one of the pillar which is upholding the democratic system. So, and it is also called as like fourth estate. Actually, this idea we got it from the colonial governance, like where they call this media under the fourth estate. So when we talk about like press freedom, so this media theory, like there are also like theories regarding this press freedom or the media freedom. So we call them as like normative theories, and what the media ought to be doing in society rather than what they actually do. So here, this whatever it's happening in the society and whatever the what you call the political system in a particular country, then the media will also like reflect that only. For example, in Myanmar now we have a military agenda government, right? And because of that, the media will also be like kind of functioning within those military ideals only. So you cannot like expect democratic ideals. But in India, we have a democratic system, right? So our media should be functioning as a democratic system. Okay, so that is one thing. So that's what they say, that the press or the media always takes on the shape and color of the social and political framework within which it operates. So for example, in United States of America, there is this libertarianism is there. So they have the absolute freedom of press. So they have the First Amendment, like as per like First Amendment, there is no restrictions on the press freedom, right? So based on their like libertarian system, the function also given like full freedom, right? And again, the Scandinavian countries, for example, like Norway, Sweden, and all, you can see that they have a very absolute, democratic governance is there, so that the media is also like fully free from any kind of restrictions. But in India, we have this social responsibility. So they say that Article 19(1)(a) is saying that freedom of speech and expression, but again, it also comes with responsibility. So there is some restrictions are there. So it cannot be like obscene, and it cannot be, a reason for law and order collapse and all. So those kind of, and it should not like, incite any war or violence and all. So that's what. So when we talk about like whatever the societal, social, and political conditions are there, the press will also reflect that only. So we need like both. So we can say that when you like assess the health of like media freedom, no, you can also assess the health of democracy. So both are like, directly proportional, right? So that is there. So if there is a healthy democracy, then there is free media, right? And if there is a free media, then you can consider there is a healthy democracy, right? But if the media is oppressed and unhappy, then the democracy also suffers. So both are kind of like relational. But in India now, like this is actually there is one private NGO is there called as Borders Without the Reporters Without Borders. They also call like Reporters Sans Frontiers. It is like operating from France, and every year they used to release the press freedom index after assessing the health of like press freedom in all the countries, and they used to like release the press freedom index. So in that, in 2022, India sinks to 150. So we are like kind of not free or partly free. We are like kind of very restricted way. And you can see that in 2021 we were in like 142, and 2022 150. And actually it is not like 1 or 2 years. Since 2010 the media freedom is kind of like it's like going down one day. It's not like coming up. So if you go and check, no, that you can see. So you can see that you can also compare how our neighbors are like faring in this one. So Bhutan and Nepal, they have a very better, press freedom index. So you all know that Bhutan is a very small country, but they are, performing so well. And even Nepal also, surprisingly, and Sri Lanka is also better than us. So you can see. And then this one, they are saying that in this 2022, when they released this press freedom index, they said that most of the countries like used the pandemic as an excuse to block the journalists from collection of information. So when we talk about like press freedom, there should be like three things has to be considered. The one is that right to collect news, right? And the next one is the right to publish it, and the next one like right to distribute it. So these three are considered as the press freedom. So once you allow, but here you see how they are like restricting the journalists to access the information sources and reporting in the field. So that is one way. And then now, like in the pandemic, they said that there is pandemic, so you should not go out and like you should not disturb this law and order, and then they restricted the journalists, and now they have made it as a trend also. And this is particularly very bad in Asia, Middle East and Europe. So that one you can see. And the journalists are really struggling hard to investigate and report sensitive stories. And then there is also another one thing. It's not only like, okay, media freedom is like restricted. That is one thing. The journalists are not being allowed to collect, collect information and then to publish it, right? And another one thing, the public is also having a mistrust. They are not trusting the journalist and the media. So when this 2021 Edelman Trust, they conducted a survey, and from that they found that 59% of respondents in 28 countries, they are saying that the journalists deliberately try to mislead the public by reporting information they know to be false. So they are the media, the journalists are the one intentionally like spreading like fake news. So that was how the public, the common man is like thinking, and they are like losing the trust on this media sources. So that is very, actually this is a very what you call worrisome part for the democratic countries like India. Because like if you are not trusting your mainstream media, then from where you will like get information. So you won't be, and also there is a trend that many of the people, they stop like reading newspapers, they are not watching television channels, and they are also like kind of there is a news aversion. So they are like kind of don't want to like read or like watch news. So that kind of it's also like happening, but this is not good for democratic, this one. So it will like make them, the people become apolitical, and if they are not like interested in what's happening in the society, it will also kind of very bad for the democracy. Because the people or the common man have the right, they are the one through their like informed choices, they are like selecting their government, right? So as we said, the democracy is by the people, of the people, and for the people. If the people are not informed, and how will they like take good decisions, right? Voting decisions. So that will also affect us, right? So that's what I say. This is a very worrisome trend that is happening in all over the world. And another thing, even though we know that journalism is the best vaccine against disinformation, later on I will also talk about like what is misinformation and disinformation and all. So, so journalism only can provide the most effective means of information that ensuring that public debate on diverse range of established facts. So we all like depend on journalism for facts, right? Not fiction. So we need like facts, we need like more truth. So what is actual happening in the society or in the country? If you don't have a strong, media, and then if the media is not having like media freedom, then it's going to be like troublesome for the country. So you also know that as we have like seen already that the press freedom index, India is like going down since 2010, right? And again, you see that in 1 year, 6 journalists were killed, 108 were attacked, and 13 media houses were targeted. So, like journalism is also being treated as a crime. They don't want you to tell the truth, right? So everywhere, it's not only in India, like everywhere, like journalists are being targeted, attacked and killed, like even last month also one female women journalist in, she was killed in this Israel-Palestine border when she was like reporting. So you can like see those kind of like news when they are like doing there. And even, like Danish Siddiq, he got killed in Afghanistan, an Indian photographer, right? So the journalists are being like killed also. So they can be like killed for telling the truth. And this kind of, attack against, and if the journalists are not safe in particular society, then they will also, the others seeing this kind of violence, no, they will be like intimidated, and they don't want to like tell the truth also. Even though they want to like speak out also, they may not speak out because seeing those kind of, violence and everything. So this is also a very worrisome trend. And another one thing, like when we talk about like press freedom index, it's not only like the media content, but media ownership also plays a major role. So, like Mukesh Ambani, who owns more than 70 media outlets, and that are followed by at least 800 million Indians. So, that News 18 group. So they have this 70 media outlets are there, and it's all being like controlled by like one particular company, Reliance, right? So they are like kind of, this kind of like corporate ownership and also like monopoly. So here you won't get the pluralistic views and ideas. So if they support some political party or if they support certain ideology, then all the news content, whatever you are getting from them also will be the same. That's what I said, like for the democracy, we need a separate, like a strong media we need, and also we need a strong plural media. So we need like a plural ownership should be there, and there should be like, if and only many ownership is there, then everyone everywhere you will get like many voices and many views and many opinions, right? Otherwise you will be like just go with one singular view and singular opinion, which is not good for democracy. So that is also that. So it's also like one reason. Actually, it was mentioned in that Reporters Without Borders report also. In that report, I think you can also like log in Google. If you Google it, you can find it out. You can like read the entire report, like what are the reasons for it, you can find that. And then another one thing, it's not only like media is being like shut down, internet also being shut down. So that is also a new trend everywhere. So what is this shutdowns? That actually the government will intentionally stop the internet or mobile many citizen journalists and everyone are being responsible. So to stop that one also, no, sometimes like government is intentionally disrupting this internet. So that is called as like internet shutdown or kill switches or blackouts, right? So that is also there. So they will just like control like one state or like one particular district or like one, 2-3 states also based on certain like protest, if some protest is happening or if some, election is going on. So those time they can do this kind of internet shutdown because this can be done by the government. So you can see that global prevalence of internet shutdowns in 2021. You see here, it's only in Asia, Europe, and then like Africa, and then in Latin America. In other places, you see like, and even here you can see that all these Scandinavian countries and US and like Australia, New Zealand, and like the most part of this Latin American countries, there is no internet shutdown. No one is like stopping, but you see India, it's full. Like we are this one, under this one. So internet also, like there are many countries in 2021, why they have like done this internet shutdown. In Kazakhstan, Uganda, and Belarus, just for like short term, they have done it. But Tigray, Ethiopia, though it's ongoing from 2020 to still, because they have this one ethnic conflict is going on in in Ethiopia. So for that they have like, it's a kind of persistent multi-month and multi-year blackout, right? So, and again in India also, in Jammu and Kashmir, 2019 to 21, there was this internet shutdown was there. And again, Russia, Thailand, and Vietnam, you can see. And again, China, how they control everything, like the media, it's totally under the government control and people don't have much say. So there also like a lot of this internet controls are there, the shutdown. And in India, you can see from 2012 to 2020, we have this like, it's going on like increasing only. It's not like kind of coming down. So it's also there. And again in 2021, again 106 times the internet shutdown happened. Okay, so that is there. And then from 2012 to 2022, we have witnessed 683 internet shutdown. Like when the internet is shut down, the citizens also suffer a lot, right? Because it's not only media channels or like social media. You are also using it for booking taxis or like, money transactions. You are like doing phone pay or like GPay, and even to get like medical, you want to like call people and all those things. If there is an internet shutdown, then people suffers a lot. So it's also like kind of affecting the individual freedom of speech and expression. It's not only the media freedom, but individual speech and expression is also being restricted. And so mostly including India, 85% of internet shutdown the first 6 months itself, you can see. So whenever there is protest, whenever there is a conflict and military coup and elections, even during elections, and in India, surprisingly, during school exams, they have like shut down internet because they don't want people to cheat during the exams, no? And again, in Bangladesh and others, there are like a lot of ongoing repression and communal violence. So for that purpose also, they have like Iran. So now like Iran, they are like having a lot of this protest is going on, right? So even during those protests also, they are like kind of doing this internet shutdown. So that's what internet access is also a human right, because it also talking about the basic freedom of speech and expression. So when we talk about like information is power, and access to reliable information is the what you call lifeline of human progress and also democracy. So that is that. And the power of information, why we need like good information for good decisions. For example, if you want to improve their healthy lifestyle or your family care, or you want to like vote, you want to make better voting choices, and if you want to have control over your life and helping individuals to understand the challenges, for everything you need information. So for example, should I vaccinate or not? How do I know someone is an expert in this particular field? So what is the government doing on climate change? why is someone trying to sending me this, spam content? So, or the drugstores open today, whether in Mizoram and all, we always, whenever there is this petrol scarcity, we always want to know like in which petrol bar the petrol is available. So you can see that people used to share those, information. So we need, information for our daily, what you call it, surveillance. Okay, so from where we are getting? So we are getting information from so many, this one. So here you see social media is the major source of our information. So even though we have like newspapers, TV, radio, website, social media, all those family conversations and like community influences, all are there. But like mostly nowadays, people are not reading that many. Even me, after coming to Mizoram, I'm not like subscribing to any newspaper. So I may like read from the, website, but I'm not like reading any newspaper, like TV, radio. And people are like with mobile only, and particularly like after pandemic, people are like more relying on this social media, and even we are all following the media handles from this Instagram and then like Twitter, right? And we are getting information more from them only. And the problem is that the challenge of overwhelming flood of information, it's not only like information, misinformation we are getting there. So you know that access to the internet has expanded greatly. So you can see that India is the largest user base for social media, and 50% of India's population have access to internet, right? And then we are also the second largest number of internet users in the world, right? So it's no longer an urban commodity, because even in villages also people are like using this internet. And particularly like after last few years, like we have this very cheap data packs are there, and people are accessing everywhere, right? So that is that. So you can see that social media scenario, it's just statistics, like 70,000 plus searches on Google every second, 50 crore blogs are written, 500 hours of videos are uploaded every minute, and 35 crore photos are uploaded on Facebook every day. So 50 crore people use Instagram, and 6,000 tweets are posted. So you can see people are like widely using all sort of like social media channels. And why social media is prone to misinformation, right? And as I have said that people like losing trust on the mainstream media, right? And then they are depending on social media. But depending on social media is a good trend? No, because it is also has its limitations. Here everyone is a publisher, right? If in a newspaper, though, you know that someone who is trained, or even someone with a professional background, they are being working as journalists, and then they are getting information from verified sources and all. But here though, no one will be verifying anything, and they themselves. So you can also like start your own YouTube channel, and you can also have your own Instagram page and everything, right? So we all have a printing press in our hands, right? And but the problem is that not everything that looks like news is actually news, right? So there are also like this one. So the false information or the fake news also casting light. For example, the WhatsApp rumors can kill people. It's actually killing people one day. Like if you go and like look, no, you can see. And even during like pandemic, you can see that many people lost their lives only because of this fake news that being like circulated in the social media. So in Iran, they're drinking alcohol. They said that it's effective against COVID-19, and people like started consuming that one. And after consuming toxic alcohol, 700 people died. So that is one. And you can also see that bleach bath and drinking hand sanitizer, all those things, right? So this one like fake news, and it also like create panic, and it also like costing lives, like people are losing their lives. And you know that how the rumors are spread via this social media also, like it's circulated online, and then it's create panic. And then like people will believe that, panicking for fake information, and then they will share it with the others, and then they will also like try to act like what they have read from the fake news, right? And then damage to society. Even, they said that in the first wave of like COVID, they said that taking turmeric and this one will help you. And because of over intake of turmeric and turmeric drinks, many people fall sick and they got like, developed like new kind of diseases also. That all happened. So how they are, kind of spreading those fake information. So Indian child kidnappings, you can see. This is also a doctored video, which they have like, it might be like shot somewhere else, but they might be showing it like it happened here, right? So it also resulted in lynchings, mob violence, and death also. So, and again, you should not think that, okay, fake news, so only the ignorant or the illiterate people. No, even irrespective of our age and educational background, anyone can be vulnerable to misinformation and manipulation. Okay, so that is one thing. And even, like for example, that's what in WhatsApp and all, when you receive information, you might not know who is the sender, right? And when the date won't be there, and then month won't be there, and the place won't be there, and then they will just kind of forward those things. So before like forwarding, you should like at least like verify those things, like from where it's coming and all. So for example, if you are receiving one advertisement that happened, actually I received one advertisement of this Madras University recruitment, right? And then there was no date and all, and then they shared it, and then we saw like, okay, then when we like checked in their university website, nothing was there, because it was a very old advertisement, but now it got like recirculated. So even that can be a fake news, right? So we have to be like very careful for that one. And again, when we talk about like information also, there are like two types of this one. So misinformation and disinformation. So misinformation though, like we we don't have any intention to this one. We don't understand that one, and we are very innocent to believe that one. Okay, so that is misinformation. You are receiving one WhatsApp forward message and you are forwarding to someone, but you don't, intend any, you don't have any bad intention at all. You are just sharing that one because you believe that is true, right? And it is factual. So that can be called as misinformation. Disinformation is that someone who is politically motivated and who has an, intention of fooling you, that kind of information can be disinformation. So you have to know the difference between misinformation and disinformation. So misinformation can be false, but the person who is disseminating it believes that it is true, because you don't know whether it is, you don't know that is fake, right? So that is, but disinformation though, the person who is disseminating knows that is false, but still he or she like disseminating. So that is a kind of like deliberate intentional lie. So we have to be like very careful about this disinformation which we are receiving. So what is like fake news? I think you all have the experience of like fake news, right? In the last few years, we are like getting to know about this fake news and everything, right? And sometimes we ignore it, sometimes we delete it, sometimes we share it also. So that is that. And it's also, a lot of this fake news is a poorly defined term only, but a lot of things, this unscientific claims, they will say that if you eat dark chocolate, then you can what you call prevent heart attack. If you like drink coffee, then you can like prevent heart attack. And if you take this herbal tea, then you can it's a good for like detoxification. So that one they'll say all those, and hoax and rumors, false contacts, manipulated content, even satire or parodies also there, because there are like certain newspapers, they won't even, there are like, when you go in the website and in Google, if you like, there are like many websites which are meant only for satire and parody. Okay, but if they don't know that is a satire, and they may believe that is a information only. So this all comes under the fake news, misinformation, disinformation, unscientific claims, all those things. Okay. And you can also receive lot of information regarding this cancer also, like every day they'll be like sharing. And then why the main dangers of mis and disinformation is that breakdown of trusted information sources. Nowadays, we are like the public mistrust of media, that one of the main reason is fake news, because even like journalists also know without like proper verification, because this 24/7 channels, no, they have a kind of what you call, they are under pressure. So every second, every minute, they have to come up with some breaking news. So for that breaking news, they should also be like the first one. Then only they can say that we can lead the television rating points. No, so just for gaining those TRP points and everything, people like without like proper verification also, they will just kind of give out that one. So because of that one, people are like start having a mistrust on the media, and people also get confused, and there is this kind of spread of fear and uncertainty. You all like remember the initial pandemic days, no, they say that you have to like wash your hands, like so people were like all the time washing their hands. I think in the first where they said there is no need for sanitizer, only the mask. I said, okay, so how this fake news also kind of spread, fear and uncertainty. And then racism also. When we get like news regarding this, coronavirus started from like China, and there were like lot of like crimes against this Chinese in abroad, and again in India, the northeasterners are being considered as Chinese, and people like started attacking them and all. So like fake news also kind of inside like violence also there, and public health concerns and everything. And also lastly, you can see that undermine the integrity of elected democracy. So that is also there. Okay, so it's not only like it's making people believe like false things, but also making them less likely to accept the truthful information. If you say something, fact, people will treat you like, you kind of, you have come from museum or what. If you tell some fake news, they might like believe that you are normal. If you are like telling them the truth, no, then you are like abnormal. So that is a kind of like situation we are like having. So what is the positive impact of this social media and democracy? So there is a digital democracy, like all the people, you or me, like anyone can, kind of, so you are like traveling on a road, and then you find that road was like horrible. So you can just, tweet, and you can say that, this road is like terrible, and why the public officials are not like taking care of it. And also setting accountability. So for example, one minister has said something in 2012, and again they will say like in 2022, and they will just compare it, and then they'll just put some meme or like video meme. Then it's also kind of like setting accountability on them, like on their personal this one, and also giving voice. So in the media, mainstream media, only the journalists, they might get the chance to give their news and views in the form of columns and all. But here in the social media, everyone can like speak out. And even if you want to like start a live video also, you can like just do it, no one is stopping you, right? So there is also a lot of civic engagement is there, like people are like discussing a lot, and lot of this people are also contacting these public officials, right? Because in Twitter handles and all, you can see that all sort of this government officers and collectors, everyone is in like in this one, so that people can like tweet, and then they can link to them, and then they can have a kind of discussion also, it is there. And negative impact is also a lot. Fake news is there, and unequal participation, all people are not getting the chance. And again this political polarization, people are being like creating echo chambers. For example, if you are like following one particular ideology, then you will be like getting only that kind of information like throughout, right? And you may not be knowing the other point of view. Likewise, so we are all like being in our own echo chambers, and we are only like getting the viewpoints which we agree with, right? So that is so there is a kind of political polarization, and people are like divided. And propaganda setting also, you can see that political parties are spending too much on this social media, and then on election ads, advertisement, and that can like come in your Facebook or in YouTube or Instagram, that one. Micro targeting also enable like dishonest campaigns. So that is also there. And I will like, end this one with like 2 or 3 case studies. The first one is on this Edward Snowden and NSA. Edward Snowden is American whistleblower, and now he got a permanent citizenship in Russia, right? And he is the one who exposed that US government is surveilling the digital lives of everyday Americans, right? And how this national security agency is like harvesting the personal data of all their citizens, and how they are like misusing it. Okay, so that's what they say, that Snowden is saying that the social networking websites and this government surveillance, there is no much difference. He says that the more Google knows about you, the more Facebook knows about you, the more they are able to create permanent records of private lives, the more influence and the power they have over us. And we all know that social media is free, but here we are the product, right? We are the product, and they are like, we are like selling our, data to just use this media without our consent. They are like reading our emails, and they are like, getting all sort of our data, personal data. So where you go, what you eat, and who are your friends, everything. So that is there. And there is also this Cambridge Analytica and Facebook, that how they are like using social media data for political purposes. So during this campaign of this Donald Trump, what they did is, the Cambridge Analytica, they harvested the data up to 87 million people without their consent worldwide. And they got to know, when they access your social media data, they get to know your political ideology and everything. So to manipulate you, they are like kind of keep on sending you like different messages and this one, and then they are kind of manipulating you to take that decision. So that's what here in the social media, we are all the rats, right? We are all rats, and every day they are like doing experiments based on us, like how you like and how you do all those things. Okay, so this is actually, this was one like which was like exposed, but there are like many countries and many governments, they are also misusing our personal data. Okay, and the second one, like in WhatsApp also, how the journalists are being, kind of spied globally. And here also in India also, they are being spied, like to whom they are talking and everything. And the third one, one example of like Facebook in Myanmar. So how they use the Facebook for this, create this, what you call, genocide of this Rohingya Muslims. So they use the online media to spread hatred and rumor, right? And then, in Myanmar also, Facebook had like 30 million members. And then the Facebook didn't control the hate speech, and they were kind of giving a space for them to spread hate and venom. And then they are the one of the major reasons for this genocide against this one, what you call, the Rohingya Muslims. And if you go and see that there is one briefing paper also, you can read the full article, Pervasive Hate Speech and the Role of Facebook in Myanmar. You can see that. So, like how they were like using this hate speech and fake news, no? Like you can see this one. If you insult our religion, nationality, and language, there is only path death. And she is Kalama. Maybe she has an affair with a young Kalan husband, doesn't know it, an inferior. So how they are like kind of doing this hate speech and like cyberbullying also. So like with this, like I am like stopping. So the idea is that media and democracy, as we said, that it's not only the we need a free and plural media, and we also need if and only you trust the media sources, then only there would be like very healthy and strong democracy. So now the social media, even though we see that what is the link between this media and social media, like as I said, that now people are not reading newspapers, they are not watching television, they are like totally depending on social media. So this social media, like over dependence on like social media for our news and information is also, like we are like being like manipulated to take certain decisions without our consent, right? Without our consent, our data is being used, and we are also kind of modified it. So this democracy is being not only like undermined by the very restricted media, but also this kind of corporate social media also for their like profitability. They are like misusing people's trust and then people's time and then your data, and then it's also they are like going to